Are you ready to embark on a journey of exploration and unlock the magic of your wonder? There is so much more in the universe than we have been shown. It is time to ask those questions, dissolve those barriers, and embrace your extraordinary life. Here is your fellow explorer in the realm of curiosity and discovery, with almost 20 years of inviting people to embrace the greatness of them, Donnielle Carter.
And welcome everybody to the Exploration of Wonder. I am your host and a fellow explorer, Donnielle, and I am so excited to be here with you today. Honestly, this is one of my favorite hours of the week, is exploring the wondrous universe with all of you. So thank you for being here, whether you're here now in the present, past, or the future. And, who am I? I am Donnielle Carter. I am a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, intuitive empowerment coach, laughter-inducing change agent, and really your cheerleader. One of my biggest things whenever I work with a person, whether it's in a private session or in a group session in a class or something like that, I'm always like, hey, will you acknowledge yourself? Will you acknowledge yourself? Will you acknowledge yourself? So I am your greatest cheerleader as well, which will actually play into today's topic, okay? But first, I also want to introduce you to something called Body Bit Chat. If you haven't heard of this, if you're not already doing it, please do consider doing it. What it is it's a free daily email of a tidbit of information from your body. And I put in the logo transcribed by Donnielle because I'm not the one writing it. Like, if you ever see me actually kind of downloading these pieces of information from your body, it's kind of funny. Those of you who are on audio, sorry, but those on video, I kind of look like this. My hand on the keyboard going, staring off into space. Oh, and then listening to the body and then typing out whatever the bodies want me to say. So like I said, it's a free daily email Monday through Friday. So please do sign up. You can go to donnielle.com and then under Body Bit Chat on the top menu and sign up. It's fun. I've been doing it for 3 or 5 years. I forget time, right? What is time? But I've been doing it for 3 or 5 years. So please do check it out because it is a fantastic, fantastic thing. Bodies speak to us, and it's my honor to help us know more of what the body is saying. So, topic for today, can you trust yourself? Spoiler alert, no, of course you can't trust yourself. I'm just kidding. And what's sad is I actually know a lot of your universe is relaxed, that you were like, oh, well, okay, good. Donnielle said I can't trust myself. I must be right that I can't trust myself. Well, no. True spoiler alert is yes, you can absolutely trust yourself. Others can trust you. And that a lot of where this not trusting ourselves comes from are the choices that we've made, that we have evidence of the why we shouldn't trust ourselves. All right, but stick around. Because like I said, that's the spoiler alert at the end, but stick around because we're going to really dive into and explore how we get to that place. How we get to the place of where, you're right, I shouldn't be trusted. Don't trust me. I don't trust me. Why should you trust me? Right? And so please do stick around for all of that because we're going to have lots of information and tips to change that. All right. So here's the thing. Haven't we all been there? Haven't we all said something like that moment of hesitation, that flicker of doubt, that whispers that, like, are you sure? Should I make this choice? Should I do this? You know, that kind of stuff, right? Anybody else ever been there? Yeah, I'm raising my hand. We've all been there, right? But here's the thing. We have not been taught to trust ourselves. We just haven't. You ever notice that? It's like we have been taught to doubt ourselves. And many of us learn this in childhood, okay? Now, I know some of you are like, I've listened to a couple of your shows and you're always talking about childhood. It's like, are you going to next ask me to lay down on the couch and talk to me about your mother or your parents? It's like, no, I'm not blaming everything on childhood. But my friends, we have had a lot of experiences in childhood that are, in psychology, they call it the formative years, right? And that we've had a lot of experience during these childhoods that that shape things, right? That we formulate how we think in the world, look at the world, interact with the world, a number of things. And so sometimes, yeah, we do need to look at this childhood. And let me say, as a disclaimer, this is not about making your parents wrong. Okay. This is not one of those, I am not one of those people, and this is not one of those shows where they go, the parents are always wrong. No, they did the best with the information they had, right? They did the best with what they could. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some parents who are just kind of jerks. I get that. That's a whole different conversation. But for the majority of parents, they were just doing the best they could, okay? So this is not about making our parents wrong, but it is looking at these experiences in childhood that have formulated how we interact with the world. And us doubting ourselves, which leads to us not trusting ourselves, is one of those often, okay? So when we look at the energy of it, again, for me, it's all about the energy. And when we were born, we came in with this thin veil, right? We know things, we know so much, but quite often the adults in our lives kind of get scared that we know things, and so they make us wrong or start doing reason and justification of why that is that way. It's like, oh no, you couldn't possibly know that, right? And then we slowly start to doubt ourselves or hiding that we know, which leads to not trusting ourselves. And the problem with that is not only are we hiding it from them, we're also hiding it from ourselves and the universe, okay? So, real quick example. You guys, when I was a kid, there was this, I think they still, I don't know, they may still have it. It's called this memory game. And it was this red plastic thing with these cards. And they had pictures on it, right? And you would turn them over and then flip them over, and then you'd play against a person, and you would be like, oh, it's a dragon. And then you're supposed to remember, memory, where the other dragon was, right? Or a flower, or purple flower, all these kind of things. Now, I'm the youngest of 5 children, and there's a pretty big age gap between me and my closest sibling. So I jokingly say I'm an only child with brothers and sisters. And so my oldest brother, who is a good 11, 12 years older than I am, so he was, 16, 17 when I'm 5. And he and his buddies would come over to the house, wait for my brother to get ready, and I would be that little bratty kid who play memory with me, I'd entice him into a memory game. And I would always win, and it would piss him off. It would just piss him off. I remember there was a couple of times when Randy's like, can we go? My brother, can we go? I'm ready. And they're like, I'm going to stay here until I beat this 5-year-old at memory. I can't believe she's always beating me. And they would ask me, they're like, how do you know? How do you know where everything is? How do you remember it so well? And my first initial response was, well, they tell me, right? If it's another dragon, the other dragon tells me, hey, I'm over here in this corner. Or, hey, no, I'm a purple flower and a yellow flower. You're looking for the yellow flower. And the yellow flower's like, hey, I'm over here in this corner, right? And they would just laugh, look at me confused, and just be like, well, you're just really smart, right? They made it something very much of this reality. So I started to doubt myself. I'm like, maybe these things aren't talking to me. Maybe I shouldn't admit to people that things talk to me. Am I crazy? Am I wrong? I'm 5 years old and I'm having these thoughts. I'm like, oh, am I wrong? Because I'm saying that the other yellow flower is telling me where it is? And so then when they'd say, hey, how do you know? I'd be like, just smile and shrug my shoulders, right? And I started hiding. And this is just one of those examples for me personally where I stopped showing what I knew, doubting myself. And then that doubt leads to trust, because how often when that kind of stuff occurs, do we start to look at other people and then go, well, they seem to have it figured out. So if they're saying that it's not because the cards are talking to me, then they must be right. So I was wrong that the cards are talking to me? Oh, okay. So that's that wrong energy. And then we start in the synapses of our brains when we connect things, it starts creating a false pathway. That knowing energy starts leading to a false wrong energy. Okay, I know that's a lot. Let me repeat that again. Every time we walk a path, whether it's physically, as an example, or energetically, which is really what I'm talking about, neurons firing in the brain, whatever you want to look at it, we are creating connections. We are creating pathways energetically, neurologically, whatever it is, we're creating pathways. And so every time I or any of you, which I know so many of you are relating to this, anytime we had that energy came up of, in this example, well, I knew where the other dragon was because it told me where it was, because I was told, no, that's not possible. I go, oh, that energy where that dragon's telling me, I'm wrong. I am I am wrong. You should doubt that. You shouldn't trust that energy. So I start creating that pathway of when that energy is of like knowing of like, hey, over here, the other dragon's over here. Oh, no, 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 no. That's the energy of being wrong. That's the energy of doubt. I shouldn't trust that energy. Okay. So we are creating that pathway of knowing to doubt and not trusting that knowing energy. We start misidentifying it, but creating that pathway. Okay. Like I said, I know that's a big topic. That's why I thought I'd throw you at the beginning. So maybe you could like get some of that. But I hope you're beginning to see where and why this not trusting ourselves can seem so deep rooted, because it is. Because we have these experiences, we have these examples where the energy comes up. It's like, oh, I knew that. And then something, someone else, whatever it is, goes, no, you don't. You couldn't. You're wrong. And you're like, oh, they're right. I'm wrong. So the energy in my universe right now is that I'm wrong. Okay, I shouldn't trust that. I shouldn't trust. I shouldn't trust. I shouldn't trust. Okay, then we create that pathway. All right. So, but there's hope. Don't worry. It is actually something that we can rewire, but it does take practice. And I say that in pretty much every one of my shows, is that this kind of stuff does take a little practice. And I'm sorry, but it does. Simply because we are recreating those pathways. We are erasing the ones that we made and creating new ones. And that first time we trudge through that pathway, it could be a little bit harder, but it does get easier each and every time. That's the benefit of practice, is that it gets easier each and every time. Maybe I'll find a new word for practice, because that is such a negative connotation. It's like, oh, practice, I don't want to practice, right? You know, in childhood, I have to practice the piano or practice sports, right? So maybe I'll find a new word. Check with me next show. Maybe I'll have a new word for you on that. Okay. But we're going to go to a break here soon, but I want you to start looking at memories of times like that, when you knew you confused or scared the adults, or it could be when you're a teenager, whatever, but just like sometime when you're like, I knew that. And then they're like, there's no possible way you knew that. For a lot of people, tests are going to come up right now. It's like, anybody else have ever lived in fear of show your work? Like, I don't know how to show my work, but I know this is the answer. I just know it is. You can't know, you must be cheating. I can't trust you. And you're like, you're right. You shouldn't trust me because I can't tell you how I know. And just saying, well, I know what it is not acceptable in this reality, according to most people, because that's what they were taught. So during the break, start looking at these places where you have these memories of like, well, I knew that, but I couldn't show my work. I knew that, I couldn't explain to them how, or I scared them or confused them. And so I started hiding that. I started hiding that ability and rewiring that knowing into doubt and not trust. Okay, because those memories that you think of during the break are going to come up later in the show. All right. So with all that being said, we're going to go to our first little break. And if you ever do want to work with me, or if you have a show suggestion, please email hello@donnielle.com. Or you could go to my website, donnielle.com, because if you do want a private session or attend an upcoming class or anything like that, it's all on the website, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, you can also sign up for Body Bit Chat while you're there too. If you want me to be your cheerleader, I am happy to be your cheerleader, so come and play. All right, this is Donnielle, your host and fellow explorer on the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, my friends, to the Exploration of Wonder. I am Donnielle, your host and fellow explorer, and sometimes just the voice in your head. Sorry, did that sound evil? I was trying. All right, I'll try again. Anyways, my name is Donnielle, and this is the Exploration of Wonder, and today we are exploring. Should you trust yourself? Can you trust yourself? Yes. Yes, you can. But there's more to it than that. Okay, first segment, we were talking about how we're starting to create those pathways as a child when we knew stuff and we couldn't prove it to others, and so it upset them. Well, in this one, we want to talk about questions in this segment, okay? Because also during those beginning years, formative years, whatever you want to call it, childhood, I call it childhood, is when we start to learn to ask questions, okay? And if you want to know more on that, I actually did a whole episode on that a couple of weeks ago, so check it out. It's Have You Stopped Asking Questions? It's a pretty good show. So check that out. But when we come in, we are curious about the world, and we begin to explore it. How? By asking questions. We come in and we are naturally curious, right? We're like, what does this do? If I put this with this, what occurs? If I stand on my head, can I walk on the ceiling? That might have been one of mine, okay? But it's like we come into this world going, hey, what else? What can I do? If I put this piece of food with this piece of food, what will it taste like? And that's where all great discoveries have been made, all right? But what's interesting is about this energy of a question is somewhere the energy of a question has become bastardized, okay? And we've started looking at it as a way to prove our ignorance. Isn't that lovely? I mean, and it starts with even things people say, well, if you don't know, just ask me a question. If you don't know, ask me a question. And the more we hear something like that, the more we draw that pathway to, oh, to be able to ask a question, I have to not know. Okay, so if I know this, I can't ask a question, or I don't want to be looked at like I'm dumb, so I'm not going to ask a question. There is a quote. Let me read this. It says, the full quote is, better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. It says is commonly attributed to Abraham Lincoln, but the exact origin is debated. Some evidence pointing to Maurice Switzer in a 1907 book. So I don't know who said it, but either way, I don't like it. Right? It's like better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. I've also heard a variation of it. It's like better to not ask a question because let them think you're a fool and then to speak and remove all doubt. And I'm like, but if you don't ask questions, how can anything be revealed? Because really, that's one of the true powers of questions, is helping to reveal energies, whether they take a physical aspect of energy or just an energetic energy. I know that was deep. They reveal things. Asking questions reveal things, but then we've been taught to not ask questions. When I first started this exploration of energy, I was reintroduced to this concept of asking a question, and I didn't want to do it because I had spent my entire life getting in trouble asking questions. And like I said, a lot of that is in that other episode, so please do check it out. But what's interesting is, you can find truth anywhere. And so I was watching an episode of an American TV show called Bones. And in this, she's a brilliant forensic anthropologist, right? So she knows a lot about bodies and bones and history and forensics, so like digging in and discovering and all that kind of stuff. And what was interesting is, she's like one of the most brilliant people supposedly on the planet. I know it's a character, but extrapolate with me. And she had this ability to go, you know what, I don't know what that means. People would say, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I don't know what that means. And which I thought was really cool, because I started looking at that and I'm like, she doesn't diminish herself. She doesn't doubt herself. And it's not about not trusting herself. She is just looking at that going, yeah, I haven't had experience with that, so I don't know what that is. What is that? Will you tell me more? I'm like, what an amazing thing to be able to ask a question and still trust that you know things. Trust you know who you are and not doubt yourself. Because any of you else been taught that if you ask a question, it means you don't know and that you doubt and that you shouldn't be trusted because you don't know anything? Yeah, me too. You know what I say? To them that taught us that, right? It's like it's time for a paradigm shift. It is time to be in the age of asking questions and exploration. Because I will say again, every great invention, every great discovery started with a question. Even if the question is, what the hell is that? Things become revealed at that point, right? So some of you may be going, thanks, Donnielle, for that energy of the question, but what does that have to do with not trusting ourselves? I thought we were talking about trusting ourselves, right? It has everything to do with that. Because how many times have we remained silent so that we were not told we were wrong? Okay. We are learning that we can't express ourselves. We were learning to not trust ourselves, to doubt ourselves, and maybe they're right and I don't know. And then we get into this loop of insanity that's not actually creating anything worthwhile, okay? And then all of this to say, we are potent creators, my friend. We are such potent creators that we can actually create circumstances to prove we shouldn't be trusted. Aren't we cute? I know, we're very cute. Okay? And I still say this is proof of potency in that The fact that we can take a situation and create it so we shouldn't be trusted, here the key is that we created it, is proof of our potency. Because I find it amusing, because I've done this 1,000 times too. We can take a point of view. Things like, I shouldn't be trusted. I don't trust me. Why should you trust me? I shouldn't be trusted. We can take a point of view like that. Okay? Create a situation to where we can prove that point of view. Okay, so first comes the point of view. Then we create the situation to prove that point of view. And then we pretend to be the effect of that point of view. That is potency in action, right? It's a powerhouse move, my friends. It's like, okay, so it's like, in a silly sense, it's like, okay, I'm going to take the point of view that I'm purple. And then I'm going to create situations to where I can prove evidence that I am purple. And then I can sit there and go, oh, I can't believe I'm purple. Why does everybody see me as purple? Because we created this. So it's proof of potency, not proof of not potency. Okay. Why am I going into that? Because we are so often told that we are the effect of things, which also brings into that place where we shouldn't trust ourselves because we are at the effect of everything. Okay? Because let me say, as clear as possible, actually, maybe I'll say that later. Sorry, follow the energy. I started to say it and it's like, no, because I want to talk about something else first. I know I'm such a tease. Okay? So first I want to talk about something called self-bully versus true vulnerability. All right? And it's a big topic and I'm going to do a whole show on it. So don't worry about like grasping every minutia of it because this is not the place. But there's a difference between self-bully and true vulnerability. Okay? So look at the energy of it with me. If you are doing self-bullying, I'm talking about that internal monologue that we do, that place where we talk to ourselves. So if we are doing self-bullying, we feel like crap afterwards. Okay? I've worked with so many people and this comes up and they're like, I'm just being honest with myself. I'm just being vulnerable with myself. I'm like, no, you're being an asshole to yourself. Okay? And that's where you get that self-bullying aspect, is because if you're saying things to yourself and you feel like crap afterwards, you're being a bully. You're not being vulnerable. You're not being honest. You're being mean. Just plain old simple mean. Okay? You have to look at this place where it's like, are you truly being vulnerable or are you being a self-bully? Because here's the thing. You can say something to yourself even if you don't want to hear it. But if it's true, it'll expand your universe. Okay? Even if it's like, I don't want to see that I chose that and created that, but it expands my universe and makes me feel light. And I guess I did choose that, okay? The self-bullying part is when we come in and then want to call ourselves names, right? Those are those places where it's like, I can't believe I chose that. What a dumbass. Okay, that part is where you get into self-bullying. I can't believe I chose that. I'm a dumbass. That is self-bullying. Instead of like, true vulnerability is, oh, I chose that. I did that. I slept with that person. I said that. I didn't do that. You know, that gets into the self-sabotage and things like that. So self-bully is when we say things to ourselves and we feel like crap after. True vulnerability, or truly being honest, is the ability to see your actions and thoughts without judging them. Okay? True vulnerability is the ability to see your actions and thoughts without judgment, without judging them. And when you can do that, it gives you the information you require to make other choices. Okay? And like I said, we'll do a whole other show on that because it's a huge topic of self-bully versus true vulnerability. But that's the gist of it. So I just wanted to introduce that because next segment, we're going to go to a break here soon, but next segment, we're going to talk about choices, because this is the place. We've talked about the pathways, we've talked about creating experiences to prove that we shouldn't be trusting ourselves or other people should trust ourselves. So how do we change it? How do we choose something different? How do we create our reality different? By the choices we make. And it's not as simple as that. It's like, oh, thanks, Donnielle. Glad I stuck around for that nugget of wisdom. There's more to it than that. Like I said, that's the spoiler alert from the beginning, that it's often the choices that we make, but it's the energy we do it with. It's how we look at it afterwards, and the next choice we make after the first choice that can help us to choose and change that. So I have a lot of tricks, though, with all of this, so to help you change the energy on that. So stick around. My name is Donnielle, and you are watching or listening to the Exploration of Wonder on the Inspired Choices Network. And if you want to reach out, you have a show suggestion, or you want to work with me one-on-one, or do any of the multiple classes I have coming up. I always have something cooking in the cauldron, as I like to say. Please do check it out. You can email hello@donnielle.com, or go to donnielle.com, DONNIELLE.com, and check it all out. But until then, you are watching or listening to the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network. I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle. And I say that cheekily all the time, but it is true. I am your fellow explorer. I am always curious. I'm always going, what is that? What do I do this? And, and I found in the preparation for this show, I found a quote by Einstein, and I want to share it with you because we were just talking about questions, right? And the power of it. And so I love this quote by Albert Einstein, and I think I'm going to put it on my social media everywhere soon. But he said, it's not that I'm so smart, but I stay with the questions much longer. How cool is that? I'm like, yeah, because that's what we do. We're so willing to stay with those questions. I said in the last segment that when we ask questions, it really brings up this, it reveals things, right? It brings up the more that we're looking for in the universe. Well, we're just staying with those questions. What is this? What is that? Right? So I love that. I love that quote by Albert Einstein. Like I said, I just found it. And so I'll blast it everywhere because it's cool. So today we're talking about, can you trust yourself? Yes. Yes, you can. Can others trust you? Yes. Yes, they can. Can Can you trust other people? Yeah. Yeah, you can. Is it blind trust? No. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. So here we go. It's like, okay, great. Thanks, Donnielle. I know we're talking about the pathways, the asking questions, the experiences in childhood that have created us doubting ourselves and building those pathways to like, oh, that energy of knowing is actually an energy of like, I shouldn't trust myself with that. So now what? Are we just screwed? No, we are not just screwed. Okay, so how do you build self-trust from this? How do you do that? Well, let me ask you another question. Have you ever said anything like, I knew I shouldn't do that, move that, say that, go there, anything like that? Okay, have any of you ever said that? Like, I call it, we call it 20/20 hindsight. It's like you look back and go, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Well, you're right, you did know. But most people use this moment as a place to judge yourself. I'm going to invite you to use those times as a moment to create a freedom for yourself and to redraw that pathway into trusting yourself. Okay. So if you want to, go ahead and pull up one of those energies. Okay. Or one of those memories. Because remember, I asked you to do that earlier and it was going to come up again because here it is. Okay. So many of us take those moments where we go, I knew I shouldn't have done that, move that, say that, go there, all that kind of stuff. We take that as evidence that we shouldn't be trusted. I know I have. So many of us have. Okay. We use it as evidence that we shouldn't be trusted. I am going to invite you to use it as evidence that you should trust you. Okay. Because, let me say it clearly, just because you knew you shouldn't do it and you did it anyways, does not mean you shouldn't trust yourself. It just means you made a choice that you might not like. Okay? I know a lot of people go, well, that's why I don't trust myself. I agree. And we're changing that. Okay, instead of using that as evidence to not trust yourself, we're going to use it as evidence to build and reestablish that trust. Because remember I said at the beginning, spoiler alert, that most of this not trusting ourselves comes from the choices that we made. But then we're good at creating reasons to and just show us evidence of why we shouldn't be trusted. So what we did is we took the point of view, we made the choice to support that point of view, and then we use it as evidence of, see here, this is how I'm screwed up, and you shouldn't trust me, I shouldn't trust me, because I should not have made that mistake. Well, when we combine that with, at the beginning segment, when we talked about, we learned that when that energy of knowing comes up, we learn to draw that pathway to doubt and not trusting. This is where you need to be kind to yourself. Have that true vulnerability, not that self-bullying, but that true vulnerability of like, oh, I made that choice to support the point of view that I shouldn't be trusted because I learned that when that energy was there, I shouldn't trust it. And so I have to create a situation to find evidence that I shouldn't be trusted. And look, I did that. I created that evidence by making the choice that screwed me. So, what do you do with that? Well, good news, time isn't real. If you ever want proof that time isn't real, work in TV and radio. Because that's when a minute, 10 seconds is a lifetime. Okay? I know time isn't real. Time is a man-made construct. So you know when to listen to the show live. Hint, hint. All right. Anyways, moving on. Time is not real. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to go back to these times. Okay? Pull up that memory. Because what's interesting is a lot of us will start to try to avoid those memories instead of being present with them. Because have you ever, it's like, I can't believe I made that choice. I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. I never did that. I never said that. No. That just doesn't exist in my universe. Well, pretending it doesn't exist actually kind of makes it a bigger thing in your universe, okay, which is a big topic. And so what I'm going to invite you to do, pull up that place where you go, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew I shouldn't have said that. I knew I shouldn't have gone there. I knew I shouldn't have slept with that person, whatever it is. Pull up that energy, pull up that memory, and look at it, okay? Okay. Be present with that energy, okay? Sit with it. Acknowledge that you knew. You could perceive the future. You had that knowing, okay? We all have that knowing. We have that knowing to where it's like, if I make this choice, it's going to create that. If I make this choice, it's going to create that. If I do this, say this, it's going to create this. So you know. Because remember, you're using an experience where you go, I knew I shouldn't have done that. You're right, you did know. Okay? So sit with that memory. Let it be present in your universe. Look at the moment and go, I did know that. I did know that. Okay? And then if you want to start judging yourself afterwards, that's the rabbit hole. That's where you start to build those negative pathways that you don't want to go down anymore. And then that is where you get in that dark hole of energy that we pretend to be creating our lives from, okay? So think back on those times when you did know. Even if you made a sketchy choice, ignore the part where you made a sketchy choice and want to judge it. Just make it infinite. Blow it away, whatever you want to do it. Be present with that moment that you did know. You knew. You knew what choice would go which direction. You knew. Sit with it, of that knowing energy. Let it permeate your universe. Let it permeate you. Let it permeate your body. What you're doing is you're becoming familiar with this energy again. Okay? You are rebuilding those pathways of, I know this. You are also opening yourself up to the universe in your body that you are open for receiving again. Okay? So this, trust me, everything I always talk about is such bigger than just the topic of the show. Okay? It's everything is with opening ourselves up more to the universe and all the possibilities out there. Okay? And like I said, if you are going to that place where you want to judge that you made that other choice, the sketchy choice, the not as fun choice, the, oh, look, after this, make this choice, I'm going to have evidence of how screwed up I am and I shouldn't be trusted choice, just clear it, okay? You can use whatever your favorite clearing technique is, sage it, dance it. One of my favorites is turning the molecules, which is a signature class I do, which I'll have to get into one of these shows. It's awesome. You can check it out on my website if you want more information on it. Because it's not about judging yourself for making that choice. This activity is about acknowledging that you knew. And in this, you start to build those trust muscles again. And the good news is, because time isn't real, you can go back and be present with those energies, let it permeate your universe, and then when you're in the present, you know that energy of, I know this, I can trust this direction, even more so, okay? That's the good news about time not being real, is you can go back and go, you know what, I did know I should have turned right. I knew that, I knew that, I knew that. Yes, everywhere you want to judge yourself, clear that crap. You did know. And then now in the present, you can acknowledge and trust yourself more to know these things. Because remember I said at the beginning, so much of what we have evidence of we shouldn't trust ourselves is choices we made. Okay? Really look at that for a second. No matter where these things came from, most of the evidence we use that we shouldn't trust ourselves, we can give you a list of choices we made of that it didn't turn out. And this is why we shouldn't trust ourselves. Because look at all these choices. I can't make my own choices. I shouldn't. Somebody should make choices for me. Okay? So, but when you look at that, you can actually use those places where you created those choices and create trusting yourself more now. Okay. There's a little bit more of this I want to get into, but we're going to take our next little break, and we can explore it a little bit more on the other side of the break. But you are watching the Exploration of Wonder on Inspired Choices Network, and I am your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle, and we will be right back.
Ever feel like there's more to life than meets the eye? A sense of wonder just beyond your grasp? Are you ready to create a life that inspires you so much that each day you are excited to wake up and live it? Join Donnielle Carter, a nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, weekly as she explores the universe on the exploration of wonder. Explore everything from harnessing the power of your mindset to connecting with your intuition and harnessing the energetic forces around us. With a blend of humor, warmth, directness, and a dash of cheekiness, Donnielle shares easy-to-use, pragmatic, yet magical techniques you can implement immediately to infuse your life with wonder. Join us as we navigate the fascinating landscapes of the seen and unseen, and together create lives filled with joy, purpose, and boundless possibility. This is the Exploration of Wonder with your guide, Donnielle. To participate in this program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to hello@donnielle.com. Now back to the exploration.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Exploration of Wonder with me, your host and fellow explorer, Donnielle. I'm so excited you are here to make this choice today. See what I did? To trust yourself again and listen to the show. All right, so we've said a lot today. I don't know who we is. I guess we're all saying it together. We've said a lot today about where we get to these places where we have learned to draw pathways from knowing things, or that trusting energy, drawing a pathway of like, oh, when this energy is present, I shouldn't trust myself. When initially that energy was one of knowing and trust, we've warped it. We twisted it somewhere, right? We've learned it through childhood experiences, teenagers, or I don't know, daily life. And so we've learned this, that we shouldn't be trusted, that we can't trust ourselves for it, okay? So then what do? We take that point of view. I shouldn't be trusted. And then what do? We create situations and circumstances to prove that we shouldn't be trusted. This is also known as making choices to screw ourselves over, okay? This is how it's all tying in together, okay? Because we look at this place where it's like, I knew I shouldn't have made that choice. See, I can't trust myself. But which came first, not trusting ourselves or the point of view that we shouldn't trust ourselves? 100% of the time with everybody I've ever worked with, we got the point of view first without evidence that we should not trust ourselves. And then we start to create our lives making choices to prove that we shouldn't trust ourselves. Okay. So I was saying before the break, one of the things you want to do, and for me, it's one of the key things. Really, this key thing about trusting yourself is that go back to those times when you're like, I knew I shouldn't have walked down that street. And then look, I lost my wallet, but I knew it. You knew it. You knew it. You say it. You say it as a throwaway sentence, but it's one of the most potent sentences you can say. I knew it. You're right. You did know it. So sit with that energy in the quote unquote past and let yourself really be present with that energy of knowing. Because when you acknowledge, you know what that choice is going to create, what is coming, what you know about your body or anything like that, or even the sweater you're wearing. Like last night, I was walking home from my sister's house. She lives 2 doors down. And she gave me this bottle of hot sauce, and I was wearing a sweater. And every time before I left her house, every time I put the bottle of hot sauce in the crook of my arm, I could see myself, it being like too soft, and going down the sidewalk and dropping the hot sauce bottle on the cement. And I'm like, can I have a bag? So she gave me a grocery bag so I could put that in so that it didn't spill, right? So it's like starting to trust those. And I've done this a lot. I go back and I'm like, look at that energy. I'm like, I did know, because you knew even if that choice led to crap, you knew it led to crap. You knew the choice would lead to fun. You knew the choice that led to crap. But if you have the point of view that you're crap, you're always going to choose the one that leads to crap. So go back, look at those choices, and instead of self-flagellation, judging yourself for it, go back and go, you know what? I did know. I did know. And so you are strengthening that muscle to be present now, but you're strengthening it from the past. You might as well use your past for something, right? Most of us use our past to judge ourselves with. I say use your past to get stronger now, because you're going to go back, you're going to sit, and you're going to become familiar with that energy again. So when it's even little things like that freaking hot sauce bottle last night, I go, I'm going to trust myself that I'm going to drop it and not judge, but trust myself to know, oh, that's that future. I'm going to change it. I'm not going to create that future dropping the hot sauce bottle. So, hey, sis, can I have a bag? She gave me a bag. She was like, sure, here you go. It's for one little bottle. No big deal. Okay. So here's the thing. When we begin to trust ourselves more with the choices, even if it's like something benign, like a hot sauce bottle, we start to trust ourselves with bigger energies, bigger choices, because we're recognizing that energy more. And then we can trust our bodies more, which is one of my favorite things to talk about, bodies and the communication. And that you can trust the universe more and others more. And let me say really quickly, trust is not blind faith. Dear heavens. Okay, trusting someone doesn't mean that everything they say, it's like, oh, that must be true. Oh, that must be true. Oh, that must be true. But when you can acknowledge yourself enough to trust yourself, you can listen to that intuition, that internal monologue or whatever it is, to know what's going on with that other person, whether you should turn right with them, whether you should run the other way, or whether you can move forward, or whatever it is, right? Whether you take that class, whether you go over here, even if you choose this seat on the plane. I know people who are like, it made no sense for me to choose a middle seat, and then I met my husband. Yay, right? It's, fun things like that. But it's like, so practice, but get to know that energy in the past so that you have more of that in your future and present now. So you can actually create the future of, how about take the point of view of how awesome and powerhouse and potent you are, and then make the choices that support that. Instead of taking the point of view you shouldn't be trusted and making choices to support that, take the point of view of how awesome and amazing you are, and then make the choices to support that, because you're learning more and more every day what that energy is like of that trust, and you're redrawing those pathways. And I'm going to say the word practice again. It does take practice, because we have spent our entire lives drawing these pathways, so we're redrawing them. But here's the thing, you can't judge yourself while you're practicing, otherwise you're just shooting yourself in the foot, which is a really weird expression, by the way. And the energy of words, I need to look that up. It's like, where did that come from? All right, so please, please look at this. Use your past to create your future, okay? Familiarize yourself with that energy of knowing, because you did know. Anytime you say, I knew that, you're right, you did. Focus on that point. Allow that to be the gather the data required to make the choices to actually create the life that you would like. All right. So I hope you're enjoying topics like this. And I am. I love exploring this kind of stuff. And like Einstein says, it's not that he's smarter, which, I mean, he was, but he just stayed with the questions longer. How many of us give up on those questions? Well, not you, my friend. Otherwise, you wouldn't be attracted to a show like this where I'm like, let's explore the universe together. So if you have a show suggestion, I would love to know about it. Please email me at hello@donnielle.com. Or if you want a private session so I can be your cheerleader and help you make those life choices, please go to donnielle.com. I have so many fun packages of private sessions. Make it a fun week and a happy week, a magic week, and be back next week. I will be. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you for exploring with us today. Donnielle returns Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific. Until then, be curious, be wonder. and explore the magical universe around you.